my name is Julie, and I'm going to be talking to you about diabetes today. My audience is in the background, and here we go. According to the American Diabetes Association, diabetes is defined as a disease in which the body does not produce or properly use insulin. I have been living with diabetes since the age of 12 for about 14 years now. There are more than 23 million children and adults living with diabetes in the United States. According to the Children's Diabetes Foundation, diabetes is the sixth leading cause of death by disease in the United States. Diabetes kills about 200,000 people each year, and there are 665,000 people that are diagnosed with diabetes each year. In my speech, I'm going to talk to you about the two different types of diabetes, the causes and the complications, and the day-to-day life of a diabetic. There are two different types of diabetes, appropriately named Type 1 and Type 2 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is what is normally diagnosed in children and young adults and most commonly called juvenile diabetes. With this type of diabetes, the body produces little to no insulin at all. Insulin is a hormone that our pancreas produces to turn glucose, or sugar, into the energy we need in our daily lives. With Type 1 diabetes, the lack of insulin causes your blood sugar to become higher than normal. A normal blood sugar should be between 70 to 100. When your body does not produce this insulin, you may have to give injections every time you put sugar into your body. People that are diagnosed with this type of diabetes usually have to become insulin dependent in order to live. I am on an insulin pump, which gives me a set amount of insulin each hour. I can adjust the amount of insulin to take according to the amount of carbohydrates that I eat, and I can attach this infusion site to any part of my body that I wish. I only have to change my pump about every 3 days, and I get one shot every 3 days instead of several shots in one day. No one has found the cause of type 1 diabetes. Many say it's in your genes, but just by having the genes of diabetes isn't enough to cause it. A virus might also be the reason. Type 1 diabetes can also be prevented. With type 1 diabetes, there are many symptoms that go along with it. Those symptoms include frequently urinating because the kidneys respond to high levels of glucose in the bloodstream and they try to flush out the glucose. This causes a child to urinate more frequently and in larger volumes. A child may also become abnormally thirsty because the child is losing so much fluid from peeing so much, they become thirsty to try and stop their body from becoming dehydrated. This was a symptom in which my mother noticed. I was constantly drinking and peeing, and she thought something must be wrong. The last symptom is that the child may be tired. This being because their body cannot use the sugar for energy properly. Now that we have discussed all that we need to know about type 1 diabetes, let's move on to type 2. Type 2 diabetes is the most common form of diabetes as stated by the American Diabetes Association. With type 2 diabetes, the body can do one of two things. It either does not produce enough insulin or the cells in your body ignore the insulin your body is producing. People with this type of diabetes have really high blood sugars, also known as hyperglycemia, because of their body ignoring the insulin or not producing enough. The main cause of type 2 diabetes is usually obesity, and it can occur gradually from this. Family history and also your genetics play a big part in type 2 diabetes. This form has been proven to be linked to your genes naturally because of continuous obesity in families. Some symptoms are associated with type 2 are blurred vision, fatigue, increased appetite, increased thirst, increased urination, and even erectile dysfunction. When people are diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, they will learn that it isn't the end of the world. By losing the weight and diet and exercise, your diabetes might go away. Also with type 2 diabetes, if diet and exercise alone don't work, you may be put on a medication to help regulate your blood sugars. Being aware of your blood sugars is a good step of controlling your diabetes. People can test their blood sugar using a glucometer. It takes a simple prick of a finger and a tiny spot of blood that you start into the glucometer to find out your blood sugar reading. Being aware of the symptoms and treatments of the type 1 and type 2 diabetes may help prevent it from happening in your family. I hope by me providing this information to you, you are more aware of this disease and its effects on so many adults and children in our country. I have been living with this disease already for 14 years, and I will continue to live with it until I die. Diabetes is a very hard disease to live with, but can be managed with good glucose monitoring, medication, and a healthy diet and exercise plan. Being aware of the symptoms will hopefully help you and the ones you love be safe from this disease.